ओ ओ ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। हरि ओम. We were studying the topic Pramana Vichara. We saw the word Pramana, but what is the meaning of the word Vichara? So Vichara word is made out of the root char. Char means to go around, to walk about. That is called as chara. Means Visheshena Charanam iti Vicharam. Going about in a chosen topic. Going about means mentally. Being able to think about a given topic from all aspects. That is called as Vichara. And what is the purpose of Vichara? He says, purpose of Vichara is Nishchaya. Conviction should come. It should lead me to a certain conclusion. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is, lot of thinking happens, but it doesn't land anywhere. It's about a particular topic. I say I have done Vichara, but what is my conclusion about that thing? So this is an ability. Just like we have physical ability, right? To lift something. So mind also has this ability, and that is to do charanam, means to do walking in a particular topic for an extended period of time. And this samarthya, this ability, as a student, we should try to increase it more and more. The problem or the challenge that we face is, our mind goes and thinks about several things, but most of the times it doesn't come and think about that thing which I want it to think. Since you give a topic to the mind and say, okay, now you think about this topic for, let us say, half an hour. Or why half an hour? 5 minutes you take. And you'll realize right when you start thinking, it will go somewhere else. And then you say, no, I don't want that idea right now. And you can take any topic, not only Vedanta. Vichara is for every topic. But it says, except that, I want to go different places. So if somebody can keep everything aside and bring the mind to a particular topic to think about it, that is a great ability of a sadhaka. How will it come? How will that ability come? One is if we have love for that subject. If we like that subject, appreciate it very much, and we can connect with it, then vichara samarthya, ability to do vichara on that topic, increases. You would have noticed in secular fields where one subject, if we like, we can think about it for longer time. So imagine if such a subject can become Vedanta. Mind will always be there on different Vakya of Vedanta, statements of Vedanta, mind will be able to think more. Second aspect of increasing this ability to think is by increasing Sattva Guna. If Sattva Guna is high, mind is able to stay in one place for a longer time. Otherwise, the other two states it knows is, one is tamas, means it will go to sleep, or it will be agitated. It will jump from one idea to another idea to third idea. So as we study Vedanta, as we progress further, this is one ability that as sadhakas we should try to cultivate more and more. Puja Guruji conceptualized one theme park, if you want an English translation, in Vibhuti, and it is called as Swanubhuti Vatika. The name of that park is called as Swanubhuti Vatika. But the title, the main theme of that entire park is Charan Vai Madhu Vindate. Charan means one who walks here will get honey. Charan Vai Madhu Vindate means if you just come to that park and walk around, you will be content and happy. And you think, oh, such a nice title, But when you go to the entire park and come out, there is one more prefix which is added there. It says Vicharan Vai Madhu Vindate. Means one who can do vichara, that person will get honey. Honey means what? Different facets of life, they will become open to us. Knowledge about myself, that will become clearer to me. Knowledge about Bhagwan also will become very clear. All three are important. We should have Tattva Jnanam also, and we should do vichara about how to live my life. Both those things, one who can do Vicharan Vai Madhu Vindate. And the entire theme park is laid out that way. Means you walk through it and there are simple quotation, simple things to just reflect upon. And you keep thinking, oh, I didn't think about it this way. And then you keep walking from one place to another. It takes an entire day. If you really stop every place and start doing vichara, long time it will take to come out. Okay, that is how. Why did we bring up this topic? Vichara. That was the word we were thinking about. So in the last session, we had seen a couple of points about nature of knowledge. We say, what is the nature of knowledge? It should have these four things. Then we call that as knowledge. First one is anadhigatam. Second is abaditham. Third one, asandigdham. And smruti vilakshanam. Four qualities should be there in any knowledge. If I say I have knowledge of Rag Bhoop, let us say, or Mohana, then that knowledge also will have all these four qualities. It will not come through any other means. It should not get negated. Means tomorrow I should not change that notes which are there. I should not have sandeha, no doubt about what is that raga. And smruti vilakshanam also we will see later. Like this, when I get knowledge of a thing as it is, yathartha anubhavaha, that knowledge is called as prama. Okay. So many points might get missed the first time. It takes a long time to understand that these four words are defining knowledge. Okay. Four words are defining knowledge. We saw the first two. Anadhigatam means every object, it will have only a specific means of knowledge. And when knowledge takes place in that way, through that specific means, that is called as anadhigatam. Okay, so one means of knowledge will be there for every object. So knowledge of Brahman also, it will take place through a specific means of knowledge. No other means of knowledge can validate it, nor it can negate it. There was a question last time and I misread it. It was not a question, it was just a statement of fact. I went back and read it again. So the sadhaka was sharing that if you understand knowledge in this way, we will realize that we can never go wrong. It is so systematic that every word is slowly opened up. We know how knowledge will be and how you cannot misunderstand anything. Good. I'm glad you thought in that way. So these examples we had seen, right, in the previous one about the salt water example, the yogurt land, and those blindfolded men trying to know what is the nature of an elephant. So unless you use that right pramana, knowledge will not take place. That was the main point. Abaditam means knowledge is that which doesn't get negated. And today I understood something, tomorrow I should not change that knowledge. That previous thing cannot be called as knowledge. Just like earth is flat. Now that is my perception. That was one understanding I had. But using the right means of knowledge, Anumana Pramana, I came to know that earth is not flat, earth is round. So what will I call my previous understanding? Brahma. It's an illusion. It is not Prama. So that's why we saw several examples. If I see a pencil in water and it is bent, mean that conditioning is making it appear in one way. I remove the conditioning, it appears in its real form. Now what will I call my previous understanding? Brahma only, but as long as I understand what is the real nature, then even that Brahma will not delude me. Right? Even when I put the pencil in water, I will say with conditioning it appears this way, but I know its real nature. Then gravity also we saw. That was because in space, if you travel or change, your object, it should not change the knowledge. Unlike gravity, over here you have something. You go to the moon, you have some other number. So knowledge is that which doesn't change with space. Means I am Brahma if I know in the US or in India or in any yuga. Even with time, it will not change. That is the beauty of this word, abaditam. Then rope snake also we saw. It was mainly to show that with inquiry, it gets negated. When the substratum is known, superimposed gets negated. So knowledge should be that which you should thoroughly inquire, and after knowing something, it should not again change. And sometimes you hear this phrase that, oh, today what we know about Brahma, what if, few years down the line, we know something more? You say, no, knowledge of Brahman will not be like that. Okay, it will not change with time. Knowledge through pramana will not get negated. That is the main takeaway. Now, what is the third word? Asandigdham. Means knowledge should be that which is free from all doubts. Sandeha means doubt. Asandigdham means free from all doubts. Now, what is a doubt? Let us start from there. Let us say you have this bunch of flowers. And you see from far, eyes are telling you that it is flower only. It is not a watch, it is not a phone, it is not anything else. But if I ask the question, is it real or is it fake? Because then you start analyzing, oh, the shape and all looks so similar. There are some droplets of water also on it. But on the other hand, it doesn't have fragrance. So mind starts evaluating things. That is when doubt comes. Means more than one alternatives are very much possible. If only one alternative was possible, then doubt won't come. If I have fragrance also, and I see that flower also, then you don't have doubt whether it is real or unreal. But if different things are conflicting, different alternatives are conflicting, then doubt comes. Okay, that is this sandeha. Sandeha means doubt. And knowledge should be that which should lead me to doubtless conviction. Means if I say I have knowledge about something, but doubts are also there, that means that knowledge has not served its purpose. And this happens sometimes in academic discussions. They ask, there was one great scholar in Varanasi, this Maharaj used to say, he went to him and he said, to that scholar, he said, can you please tell me what is the nature of this mind? Simple question he asked, what is the nature of this mind? And that scholar, he started telling in different school of thoughts, what is the nature of mind? He said, in Vaisheshika Darshana, it is this way. In Sankhya Darshana, it is this way. In Bauddha Darshana, it is this way. Maharaj said, but what is your opinion? He said, I don't have an opinion. Means you are able to lay everything on the table, but if you are asked, what is your conviction? Then there is no conviction yet. So that cannot be called as knowledge, right? And it will never make us go further and take a decision. The very simple example for this is when we have announcements in airport lounge that your flight is on 70A. Then you have a doubt sometimes 17A or 70A. And if doubt remains like this, you can neither walk to 17A nor can you walk to 70A. Means Sandeha has to go away, then only I can move to the next step. This becomes even more important when I sit down for meditation. Means when I sit down for meditation and I have doubts that how am I Sakshi? What is the nature of Atma? Why am I not the mind? All those doubts which are there, they will not allow me to move further. So knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of my nature as Brahman should be doubtless. That alone will be called as Brahma. Okay, what are we discussing now? Nature of knowledge. So one of the definition of knowledge is it is free from doubts. Now you might ask, why is there a doubt in the first place? About my nature as Brahma, why is there a doubt? This point we have seen in Dridrishya Viveka. We'll again discuss it. Hopefully something more opens up now. Our Upanishads say, you are Brahma. Tat Tvam Asi, you are that substratum of creation, infinite. And how does a student understand? Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. Now just focus on the word aham. Okay, just focus on the word aham. And what is the English translation of aham? I. Simple, right? Aham is always I. Now there are so many things in this creation, right? There is mountain, there are trees, there are rivers, and this world around that I'm seeing. None of it I get confused with I. I will never use the word I for this phone, this harmonium, this mic. I will say that mic, that phone. Okay, so there is no confusion because even colloquially I don't use it for outside world. Now come closer. When this body is running, what is my phrase that I use? I say I am running. Now you see what is happening is, in my colloquial understanding, the word I is going with this body. Subconsciously, without me making any effort. In my transaction, I say I am sitting, I am running. But actually saying who is sitting, body is sitting. So thing to appreciate here is, I in my understanding is referring to body. Mind is disturbed or mind is thinking, let us say. What do I say? I am thinking. So now you see where that I is going. It is going with this mind. And Upanishads say, I am Brahma. And when they say I, they are referring to the witness of the mind. That is Chaitanya. So now doubt will come if Upanishad is saying one I, that is one alternative, and my understanding of I is second alternative. And both look similar. Means body is also sentient, body is also able to do actions. Mind, it is even more sentient. It is closer to me and it is showing this sentiency. And Upanishad say Atman is sentient. It is of the nature of consciousness. So between these two things, I will have doubt. And meditation practice is just to, once if you have clearly understood how I is referring to Chaitanya, not to mind, not to body, meditation practice is to keep both of them aside. That is why Drigdrishya Viveka, we say mind is Drishya, Atma is Sakshi, the witness. What was the main point here? Doubt. Between flower, we can understand why doubt comes, but we should also understand with regards to Atma, what is the doubt? It is this only. Am I Sakshi or am I this body and mind? Because I am using for all three. Okay, that is how we should look at it. And Prama is that which should clearly tell me this I is referring to Brahma and not anything else. This Bhagwan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Labhante Brahma Nirvanam Rushayah Kshina Kalmashaha. Means one will get the supreme most truth if we have purified our mind and thought about it in this way. And the main word is next one, which is underlined, Chinna Dvaidha. Chinna Dvaidha means whose doubts have been cut asunder. Doubts about what? Doubts about the same. Am I Sakshi or am I mind? And if purity of mind is there, then this knowledge will be able to seep in. I can overcome my sorrow with the help of this knowledge. All right. So now, quick difference between Brahma, illusion, and doubt. In Abaditam, we saw there is Brahma happening, right, between rope and snake, like this one, for example. Brahma. Now, what happens in Brahma? In Brahma, there is no doubt. Whatever I see, that I take it to be the only reality. Means conviction is there about erroneous perception. See, if I see that rope and it appears as a snake, I have no doubt that it is snake only. Okay. Meaning what? In the early stages of our sadhana, before we do Vedanta Shravanam, before Vedanta comes in our life, I think I'm this person. There is no doubt. If somebody says you are something else, we think that person is having doubts. So Brahma means there can be a lot of conviction about erroneous thing also. There is no doubt about it. The other side of it is Sandeha. Sandeha means along with one understanding, something else has come, and between those two, there is a conflict. So previously I thought I am this person, and now Vedanta comes and tells me you are Brahma. Okay, so between these two things, the student will have the doubt, how can I be Brahma? Okay, so now that is called as Sandeha. And we all know whenever there is a doubt, right? If we don't have faith and we don't know how to inquire, that doubt will lead to agitation. If doubt is there and I don't know how to inquire, and it happens in Vedanta sadhana, when again and again we hear you are Brahma, and again I'm trying to think how this body is Brahma, how this mind is Brahma, because my understanding of I is this body only. So that conflict happens inside. But if one can have reverential attitude towards this altar, then that same question will become jijnasa. It will open up things for ourselves. It will open up things very Precisely. Why? Because it has become your question now. Somebody else's question, even if you get answer to it, it is not appealing. But if it is my question, I have this sincere quest, how can I be Brahma? Then you see how appealing the answer looks. Okay, so that is this difference between Brahma and Sandeha. In Brahma, there is no doubt only. I say there is only snake. What is the question of doubt? So in the beginning, it is, I am this body. Where is the question of doubt? Okay, Sandeha is between two alternatives I am evaluating. Now, the same portion we saw in the story of Satiji and Parvatiji. Okay, the doubt there is for outside, it is shown outside, but we should understand it. It's a doubt of this Vedanta sadhaka. What is the doubt Satiji had? Lord Shiva said, Jai Satchidananda Jagapavana, Asakahi Chalevu Manojana Savan. When he saw Bhagwan Rama doing that Leela of Sitaji being taken away, Bhagwan was crying. But Lord Shiva said, Jai Satchidananda. So Sat Swarupa, Chit Swarupa, and Ananda Swarupa. And Satiji is feeling, how can this Bhagwan who is running around crying be Ananda Swarupa? One who doesn't know where Sitaji is, how can he be Jnana Swarupa? And he is struggling so much to find his own place, as though his existence is questioned. How can he be Sat Swarupa? So that is the doubt she has. Her eyes are telling one thing, but she also has faith in Lord Shiva's words. If she did not have faith, then she would just go with what her eyes are telling. That's why I said yesterday, Pramana Asambhavana is already removed for Satiji, because she is having faith in Lord Shiva's words. What is Pramana, Prameya, Asambhavana? Again, we will see later. But right now, just look at this example. Then she goes back to Kailasha. Both of them go back. And there she has this doubt. What is the doubt? That how can this person who is crying around and running around be Bhagwan? And on another hand, she says, my Lord Shiva cannot be wrong either. This Sandeha, for her to overcome, it takes a long time. And what was the main ingredient? Her Shraddha. For Mananam, the main ingredient is our reverence towards that topic and our ability to think clearly on that topic. If somebody is having a lot of good qualification, then the first attribute of Prama will not allow Sandeha to come. If somebody is qualified, then the first attribute, what is the first attribute? Anadhigatam. Means I will know that for a particular thing, there is only one means of knowledge. It cannot conflict with anything else. Which is that means, how to use it, that is up to me. That I should choose correctly. But let us say for some reason, doubts came. Through logic, one can resolve those doubts also. Okay, so that is how doubts will be resolved. One is by understanding Pramana, the way it works. But still, if doubts are there, use logic. And in Upanishads, different Prakarana Granthas are there, which will use a lot of logic. Okay, that is the beauty of this teaching. So we saw three qualities now of Prama. One was Asandigdham or Anadhigatam, Abhaditam, and Asandigdham. What was the last one? Smriti Vilakshanam. Means recollection is not knowledge. Recollection means Smriti is not called as knowledge. For example, let us say a child goes to school and teacher taught something new. The teacher taught something new about math or something. Now the child is so happy, oh, this is what I learned over there, something new I learned. Now you come home and ask, what did you learn in your school? And the child repeats the same thing, that my teacher taught me such and such thing. Now, can you say that statement is knowledge? When did knowledge take place? When the child is telling you, or when that child heard from the teacher. First one, right? That is what this means. Means recollection is not knowledge. Recollection is a mere restatement. Like if I ask, if you meet somebody, let us say I introduce you to some person, and that person you got to know and say, oh, you are from the same town that I was in, everything you did. And later when you meet, when you go around, you meet that same person again and somebody else wants to introduce you. Now what will you say there? Oh, I know this person already. You are seeing that person second time, but knowledge took place first time only. So second time, whatever you say is a mere recollection. It is not knowledge. Okay, so that is why recollection cannot be called as knowledge. In our scientific terms, whenever you are cross-referencing something, citation is not called as your own new thing. Means you are cross-referencing somebody else's work, but you cannot call that as your own finding. You can very well use it. So similar idea over here. That is, recollection is not called as knowledge. First reason is it's a mere restatement. Second reason is recollection can be real or it can be of an unreal thing. For example, yesterday we had Ramayana class. Those of you who attended, you are able to recollect it, right? But let us say you dreamt that you are in Advaita Makaranda class in your dream. You will be able to recollect it now. So you are able to recollect a real experience and you are also able to recollect an unreal experience. So that is why recollection is not knowledge. Okay, this is the second reason. Recollection can be of real thing also, it can be of unreal thing also. Okay. Now if you caught hold of this point, something important is going to come now. What are the things we saw? That recollection is a mere restatement and it can be of real and unreal thing also. That is why it is not knowledge. The big conclusion that comes from this is knowledge of my nature as Brahman will take place during Shravanam and not during meditation. Why is that? Because in meditation, I am just recollecting what I have heard previously. Knowledge, I am not recollecting nature of Brahman. Brahman is always there. But I should not have this erroneous understanding that I will have knowledge of Brahman in meditation. Knowledge will take place when Praman Vyapara is happening. Vyapara means transaction. When Pramana transaction is happening, their knowledge will take place, not in recollection. Okay, so this point also we should note. To emphasize this point, you look at the question that Nachiketa asks Yamacharya in Katopanishad. He says, O Yamacharya, Anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat, anyatrasmat kruta krutat. Tell me that truth which is beyond dharma and adharma, which is beyond all karma, which is there. Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha. Tell me that which is beyond time. But you say that next word which is highlighted, yat tat pashyasi. Pashyasi means present tense. That which you are seeing right now, for you there is no need to recollect anything. That truth is ever present in front of you. Yat tat pashyasi tad vada. That truth you tell me. Okay, so this is the question that Nachiketa asks. We should reflect more upon that word pashyasi, how it is not a recollection. Okay. Now there is a interesting question that comes up. One sadhaka asked also this question, that in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says Nashto moha smritihi labdha. Bhagwan asks Arjuna, Arjuna, what did you get out of this entire discourse I gave? 700 verses almost I spoke. What, did you listen something? Did you get something? Arjuna says, yes, Bhagwan. Nashto moha. My moha has gone away and I have gotten smriti. Nashto moha smritihi labdha. Oh, just now you said Prama is smriti vilakshanam. It is different from smriti. So which smriti did Arjuna get? When Arjuna says smritir labdha, did he remember what was his duty? What was his duty before? Did he now recollect it and he's going to fight the war? Or does that word smriti mean something else? Okay, what did Arjuna have recollection of? To explain this point comes the story of the 10th man. All of you know that story, right? There is a river, and it is said this guru had 10 disciples who were wonderful disciples. Look at the prarabdha of the guru. He has 10 of them. All of them are very interesting. He says they go on the other bank of the river and say, let us count. Okay? Our guru has said, if you go there, please make sure you count. I don't trust all of you staying together. So one boy says, I will count all of you. And then he starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again and again he counts and then starts crying. And one starts crying, everybody starts crying. And there was a wise man who was going on the side. He says, why are you all crying? The 10th man is lost. Then this person realizes something has happened here. So he makes all of them stand in a line, counts again. He says, I will count now. You might have done some mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. And to the 10th man, he says, Dashamastvamasi. You are the 10th man. Before saying that, this person, before he starts counting, he says, don't cry, 10th man is there. Because, all of them were crying before he starts counting. He gives them assurance, 10th man is there, don't cry. And then he counts, and to the 10th man, he says, you are the 10th man. Dashamastvamasi. Now, what should be the understanding of that 10th man? Dashamaha aham asi. Means that 10th man was never lost to begin with. Without being lost, I thought that 10th man to be different from me. And that is why I was crying. But now when this teaching has come, Dashamastvamasi, that which was never lost, that is known by me now. This recollection is that recollection of the 10th man. So Arjuna says, Bhagwan, my recollection is also the same. Just like here you had the first step, as 10th man is. The person, he gave the assurance, right? 10th man is, don't cry. So Brahman is the first step. Second step is that Brahma I am. That which was never lost, which was never different from me, that is my own true nature. Arjuna says, this recollection I got. So Smriti is of the fact that Aham Asmi. Consciousness was never different from me. Chaitanya was never lost. Put it other way, my Ananda Swarupa was never different from me. Chaitanya means always add Ananda also there. And I was thinking that I am, a limited individual and having so many other things. But now with this knowledge, I have this smriti of this fact that Chaitanya is never different from me. That is why Arjuna says, Nashto moha smritihi labdha. Okay. This point, our Puja Swami Subodhanandji, when he visited us in Sandipani, Swamiji spoke for half an hour or more than that, 45 minutes, just on this one word. What does the word smriti mean? And Mahatmas, when they have sabha, right, when they sit down to discuss, These are the topics they will take and try to understand. So he was explaining a story where Karpatriji Maharaj was there and all other Mahatmas were sitting. And somebody asked this question to Karpatriji Maharaj that, what is the meaning of the word Nashto Moha Smritir Labdha? What does that word Smriti mean there? And Karpatriji Maharaj just answered, Bhul gaye. Did you forget? Very cryptic words. Huh? Means if you just reflect on that, something new will open up. He said, Bhul gaye. So then Swamiji just took that thread, and for 45 minutes, it was like Advaitamrita, different aspects, just to explain this point, that Smriti word is related to Aham Asmi. Even now when I'm thinking I'm deluded, consciousness is as it is. Later when I get this knowledge and look back, I realize, oh, what was I thinking before? That is this recollection. Okay, so these were the 4 points of nature of knowledge, how Prama is. So knowledge about my nature as Brahman should be anadhigatam, knowing very well that it will take place only through Upanishad. Abaditam, it should be so firm that it doesn't get negated by perception of plurality. Just like knowledge about that pencil doesn't get negated by any conditioning like that water. So when I see the world, I should not forget where it is appearing. Okay, that is this main thing. Asandigdham, it should be free from all doubts. Knowledge about my nature as Brahma. Mind might be bothering, body might, have certain things, but knowing very well that I am different from them. To strengthen this, we do Nididhyasana. Viparita Bhavana to remove, that is why we do Nididhyasana. Smriti Vilakshanam means I should be firmly rooted in this fact that I need not have recollection of this Brahma, because it is right here, right now. There is no scope for recollection. There is no need for recollection. All I can recollect is what kind of a misunderstanding I had before. That is good. But Brahman is ever present. Something which is right in front of you, you don't have to recollect. You cannot also. That is a law. Like you are seeing me right now, you cannot recollect me. But when our pramana stops, when we are not having this praman vyapara, then you can recollect. So Brahman is that which is never absent. It is right here. Yattat pashyasi, Nachiketa said, right? It is right here, right now. I need not recollect it. Okay. If there are questions, you can write down. We can discuss more. So with this, the definition of Prama is done. What is the definition of Prama? 4 attributes we saw. Yathartha anubhavaha sa Prama. Now we will go to each and every one of these 6 Pramanas. Okay, Pratyaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana, Upamana, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi, and Shabda Pramana. There was a question about what are these icons? What is this cow representing? All of it I will explain. Okay, each one when we look, we will elaborate. There is a reason why that icon is there. And you might say, oh, these pramanas, only Shabda Pramana is going to reveal the nature of Brahma. What about the first 5? If they are not revealing, why are we even studying it? In Kenopanishad class, and I was preparing for the last Saturday, right? So we saw one mantra, Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Brahmana. Means one should analyze the world and understand its limitations. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says, the only tool that you have to analyze the world is the first 5 pramana. Means you will be able to understand the limitations of this world only when you understand, when you use Pratyaksha Pramana, when you use Anumana Pramana, all of that you use and understand how this world cannot be goal of life. He said that is the purpose of discussing the first 5. No. If Shabda Pramana is going to talk about Brahma, why are we discussing first 5? It is because of this reason. And the last point is, I will not insist on wrong Pramana. My experience might be something, science might be telling something else, but I know for Upanishad, for Brahma, Upanishad alone is Pramana. So Pratyaksha is what we will start now, and from next class, we'll begin with Pratyaksha Pramana. A lot of thinking has been done, what we otherwise know as cognitive science. How does cognition take place? A lot of depth is there in that vichara also. If there are questions, you can turn in and we can discuss for some time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, link for Praman Vichara slides are already shared. Sorry? Send mail to info. Yes, info@cmsj.org. Okay. If recollection is not knowledge, was what was handed down verbally in Guru Shishya Parampara? What was handed down verbally in Guru Shishya Parampara before written records? What was handed down was mantra. The fact that somebody can repeat mantra doesn't necessarily mean knowledge of that mantra has taken place. So there is a difference between doing Parayanam and memorizing, but there is a difference between understanding meaning of that mantra. Okay, so Parampara which was there, it was to make sure that the mantra gets transferred to the next generation. But just because I have remembered it doesn't mean Prama has taken place. Just like we know, we must have chanted Vishnu Sahasranama so many times, but when we study the meaning of it, then we know, oh, what was I chanting? So that Parayanam will be the first part, knowing the meaning will be the second part. What does Yathartha Anubhava mean? Good. And many people shared this also with me, that I sometimes use Sanskrit words which you might be hearing for the first time. Okay, so please write it down and please ask over here. It doesn't matter if you have to go over it again and again. Main thing is Prama should take place. Yathartha Anubhava, Yatha Artha means as it is. Yatha means as, Artha it is. Knowledge of a thing as it is called as Yathartha Anubhava. If I understand it differently, then it will be called as Ayathartha Anubhava. If I look at the sky, what is Yathartha Anubhava of sky? Knowing that sky doesn't have color, space doesn't have color. But if I have understood this fact, right, space doesn't have color, even if I see that color, still my Yathartha Anubhava will be as it is. On the other hand, if I don't inquire and I start feeling that space is having color, then I will have Ayathartha Anubhava. I will know a thing not as it is. Okay, so the Ayathartha Anubhava will be called as Brahma, illusion or delusion, and Yathartha Anubhava will be called as Prama. Okay, one is Prama, another is Brahma. Where does Shabda Pramana happen? Is it in a class, or when reflecting on Upanishad mantra, or some other special situation? So we have not come to Shabda Pramana yet. When we study Shabda Pramana, it will be elaborately discussed. But in simple words, Shabda Pramana means Upanishad mantras coming into my mind. if you see the definition of Upanishad in Kathopanishad, right? Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, knowledge is called Upanishad. Upanishad shabdena vidya uchyate. But we all know book cannot directly enter into your mind. It needs a sentient praman vyapara to happen. So that will be in a class, that will be wherever we do Shravanam. But the final thing is that this thought should get formed in my mind. How did it get formed? Through words. I did not see a Brahma or anything, just those Shabda from Upanishad came in my mind. Okay, so that is this Shabda Pramana. More elaboration we will see when we cover that. Okay, if there are any other questions, you can turn it in. If not, we can conclude. There are some logistic questions here. They are getting answered. How to save the link? You just have to copy it and paste it somewhere else, I think. In person, any questions? Okay. I'll wait for maybe a minute and then we can close. What is the difference between knowledge and information? When we say prama over here, it means knowledge only, not information. Information is that which, even in spite of knowing a fact, I cannot use it in the right place. Information means I know a lot of things about that subject, but when a situation comes, when I have to actually use that knowledge, use that information, it doesn't work at that point. So that is called as information. Knowledge means I'm having conviction about that thing, but I'm also able to utilize it in the right place. Okay, so that is the main difference. In Vedanta, you will hear the terms jnana and vijnana. Or sometimes you hear knowledge and wisdom, something like that they say. But what it means is you use whatever terms. After having gained knowledge about something, I should be able to live according to that knowledge. That is why we say it is not only information. Okay, I hope that gives some perspective to it. Okay, we can pause here. If there are more, you can turn it into the Google form. And this topic should have questions. It is Praman Vichara, and it will help me also calibrate the subject according to the questions that come. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.